This is the short story Reasons Vary by Yahya Haqqi, translated by Joody Mohamed. I'm eager to know the news of stingy people. No type of person is like them. It is both disgusting and amusing at the same time. They say that perhaps the greatest sorrow that befell you is the very thing that healed you. And this is how I healed from this obsession since I moved to our new house in the alley of Sheikh al-Bighal. I met our neighbor, Miss Zuleika. Although truth to be told, she's the one who sought us out and wanted to get to know us. She didn't hide from us the reason behind her kindness and welcoming towards us. It comes down to us, unlike the rest of the neighbors, having a radio. Later, I learned that she spends her evenings, alternatively, over the neighbors' houses, radio or not, to cut down the cost of electricity in her house. And I'm quick to tell you that her home is not lit by electricity, but with a small oil lamp, number 5. It is all that is there in her large house of lighting means. Only if, God forbid, we counted the strange lighter that she carries with her wherever she goes and takes care of it very carefully. Also, Miss Zuleika smokes cigarettes, but she does not buy it, like the rest of the human beings, ready-made, but buys the tobacco and rolls it into weird-looking cigarettes that remind me of whirling dervishes on the dance floor, as it dented from one end, slim on the other end, and I have witnessed her many times refusing to throw out the butt of the cigarettes unless she finishes it, even if it burnt her fingers, despite her protesting that it's not a matter of saving but a matter of taste. It was no secret that she was devoted to hand-rolled cigarettes for 2 reasons. The first is that it is a hard currency to acquire, as not everyone can roll it decently, and who in their mothers can smoke a cigarette with her saliva on it. The second one is the butt of a hand-rolled cigarette, as you roll it, does not contain any smoke, but a puff. If she threw out the cigarette butt, she is certain that she is not sacrificing anything. I notice when she is raising her fingers from the ashtray, I do not see under her hand anything but an infiltrating missile made up of black and blue smoke. And her admiration of rolled tobacco is her excuse for declining the cigarettes we offer her, and like that, both parties, thank God, kept both their cigarettes and dignity. Do not expect Miss Zuleika to light her cigarettes with matches, as matchboxes nowadays have 1 that lights and 3 that don't. She says that matchboxes are possessed, as every diligent consumption the eye notices and cannot be avoided. And for her, it is a malicious demon act. She also dislikes the juggling sound of the last matchstick in the box, as it threatens the urgency of buying a new box. The matchstick also distresses her because the moment of its usage is the moment of its mortality. Isn't it safer and wiser to use a lighter then? It has the look of a blank cartridge. Then there is no wonder if she slapped it with her palm 2 or 3 times that it leaps with big dangerous flames, blood-like colored, surrounded by a shroud of thick smoke. I warned her many times about the dangers of using such an unsafe lighter, and that it might burn her hair and lashes or set her clothes on fire. Then she would say that it also helps her light the stairs when she returns to her home. Miss Zuleika comes to us before sunset and crosses her legs on the couch as if saying, "I'm here till the program ends." She assured us since day 1 that she's not a coffee enthusiast, although there is no problem in 1 cup. In our book, this is the bare minimum of hospitality. However, in her intrigue and belief, it is the maximum. She emphasized that the smallest dinner harms her. this is not the case for fruits, if I had any, and we did not hide it from her. I haven't seen her without her dull blue scarf on her head, under it a shag. As for her outer clothes, they are a great success in reconciling two dissonant goals: cleanliness, reasonably of course, and maintaining the clothes, of course, from the damage of excessive washing. As for her undergarments, I heard from the neighbors whose roofs overlook her home that it is shredded. Miss Zuleika lives alone, companionless, without a human soul or an animal, in a big old-fashioned house. From the door to her bedroom on the first floor, a drawn path, like the alley between the floodlands when dry, on either side. A wilderness, left to itself. Fates and mice do whatever they want with it. I have never seen cash in her hands. I have not heard her mention that she bought something, and it didn't take long for Miss Zuleika's slyness to study our living situation and our spending aspects, as she does not depart us every night unless she asks me to gather her some old newspapers that are scattered in our home, here and there, and their end stage in the trash can. Then she takes the newspaper, she straightens and refolds it carefully, that it appears in her hand something that got its dignity restored, and I feel agony in my heart that it slipped through my fingers. She states that newspapers are useful in the kitchen or the cupboards, in patching holes, repairing cracks. They get sprayed with petroleum, and winter clothes get trapped in it in summer. They are also useful when buying from street vendors, as they are lighter, they're heavy paper on the scale, and nothing protects the chest from cold like it. Not to mention balancing a wiggly table, the window that its bolt has gone missing, cleaning glass, polishing mirrors, and wiping shoes. Naturally, Miss Zuleika refused to add that if it piled up, they would get sold by the oka, or get bartered for something else. But she looked at me with a laughing look and said, and they are also useful in other things. I didn't understand then what she meant, and God forbid that pure, virtuous, and religious Miss Zuleika is westernized at the end of time. Days have passed. Then I discovered that Miss Zuleika's life followed on a painful tragedy. She owns a few acres in Bahira Governorate, coveted by some of her relatives, and they are the troublesome and brusque type. They have threatened to murder her more than once. And when the connection between us strengthened, I found her nice and pleasant to talk to, and found her funny. I took the liberty and suggested an idea to her that seemed to me a suitable and happy solution. One day I told her, "Why don't you marry? By that you'll find a man to guard and relieve you from your fears." And why wouldn't she get married? Despite her being close to either from the front or back, completing her 5th decade of life, and despite her conjunctivitis that makes her eyes water day and night, her clothes hide a body that still has some youth and attractiveness left to it. It is like this, at least how it appears under her clothes that have gotten tighter from the bust and hips. She sat straight, admitted gaily and proudly that, although her mouth smiled contemptuously, the groom is ready, wrapped around her finger. He's begging her, and she is refusing. And why is that, Miss Zuleika? His story is like heaviness on the chest. He's a distant relative of hers, from Cairo, not the village, but she does not see him but once in a blue moon, unless she needed him to run an errand for her in the government offices. So he comes rushing, happy to do her a favor. To him, kinship is a connection of tenderness and affection. So imagine a woman in need. He does not disappoint her. He forgets the many times that he knocked on her door and he does not find her home, whether he was honest or he lied. If he entered at lunchtime, he only drinks a cup of coffee, a diluted one. She didn't ask him what he eats and who does his laundry. God only knows how he lives. He is an old widower who lives alone in a small room, and if not for the compassion of some of his neighbors, bugs and moths would have eaten him alive. He has a daughter whose husband died and left her to raise a whole lot of kids, among them who are in secondary school, primary school, kindergarten, some who are still carried on the shoulder, and one only God alone knows his gender and luck. How can he financially support them when he's just an employee whose paycheck does not exceed £10 a month? He left his room and stayed at his daughter's house, and his fate in life became like the fate of one of her orphans, or a little less. He did not ever seem angry at Miss Zuleika, because she is the financially comfortable cousin who doesn't give him a small amount of money every once in a while to help him support his new family, as he is afraid that if she gets angry, she will cut him off. And in his heart is a renewed hope that God will open her eyes and hands so that she will see, as he sees, that if they shared the burden of problems, his mind and hers would be at ease. He will then find what he could quench his grandkids' thirst with, and she will find the safety that she lacks. By God, his heart trembles for fear for her village relatives threatening. If he guarantees her safety when he is away and poor, he wouldn't have proposed to marry her. His intentions were a mix of kindness and greediness, and the suppressed desire to take off the humility suit to wear the hero suit. Behind all of these intentions is an ancient malignant disease, from which life has never been free in any era, the disease of the poor flattering the rich. Miss Zuleika laughed and continued saying, "He assured me at the beginning of the negotiations that he would be my best faithful and loyal servant and a vigilant guardian. He would embrace me with his care and love, and he would be at my disposal. The matter is my command, and the say is mine." But he didn't hide from me, and this is getting down to the brass tacks, that he is saddled with debt. His paycheck is mortgaged for many months to come. At first, I thought he meant that I would be the one who would cover the household expenses, including food and drink. If he stopped there, I would have accepted his excuse. I would have said that the meal that is enough for one can be stretched and be enough for two, and this debt is sure to be fully paid one day. Then he reveals extreme foolishness. He asks me, if we get married, to also pay him £6 a month. Pocket money, as he said. He didn't want to admit that it would be spent on his grandkids, as if I'm obliged to support her late husband, kids. Good grief! Did I go mad to accept his conditions? £6 a month? This is the revenue of an estate, like a gift from the heavens. This is my money, and thus I am content, thank God. One evening, Miss Zuleika came to us disturbed. The blood drained from her face, and her tongue knotted. She only falls silent to catch her breath. In the morning, her land tenant came to warn her that her relatives from the village have conspired against her and are counting down to fulfill their threats of murdering her. Despite her disturbance, she insisted that these were just empty threats that she has gotten used to. Her words reminded me of someone walking in the night, whistling, so that he does not feel afraid. I consoled her and sympathized with her. We talked so I got her minds of thinking till she left our house, convinced more than ever of the urgency of marrying her relative from Cairo. A week later, she got married to Shuaib Effendi and introduced us to him, a man carrying a belly the size of a licorice pot. Perhaps that is why his fez slides to the nape of his neck, to keep his balance. His pants are rolled up as if he only walks through muddy roads. His eyes are patient, laughing, and their hope for God's mercy, and not people's mercy, never ceases. We then started seeing him come and go at fixed times. Miss Zuleika did not change any of her habits or her appearance. However, I saw her stream of tears ease a little. I caught a glimpse in her look, some contentment, calmness, and satisfaction. Even a crumb in a beggar's hand draws jealous eyes. They got married on the 10th of the month. By the beginning of the next month, she gave him £4. Shuaib Effendi got furious and protested strongly because the agreement was £6 at the beginning of every month, and now that the new month has started, he's owed exactly £6. Miss Zuleika answered him calmly that they got married on the 10th of last month, and this is an undeniable fact. He can choose whether he takes the £4 or he waits till the 10th of the next month, so that he can take the £6. Shuaib Effendi screamed, "Am I married to get paid by the hour?" Miss Zuleika answered him more calmly, "You've consented to this from the beginning. This is God's wisdom, this is the sky, and this is the earth." Shuaib Effendi took the £4 with humility and submitted to Allah's power. The days followed, a month followed, then the next one did as well. The third one neared. I noticed that. Miss Zuleika seemed anxious, worried, and confused. She kept fidgeting while lounging on the couch. Her face is pale, and her wandering eyes are saying, "Strange! Is it an imposed tax? Is it a fixed imposition, regardless of the circumstances? Isn't fulfilling the agreement for a month, 2 months, 3 months a favor to be owed? I'm not saying be merciful, I'm saying be forgetful. Month after month, give me, doesn't he know any words but give me? He stormed into my life, cast all his burden upon me, and left me unable to tell my head from my heels." I say to her, "Miss Zuleika, you agreed to this from the beginning." She then answers, "Yes, I did, but I didn't ask him to contribute to the household expenses. His laundry is indeed done at his daughter's house, but he eats and drinks at my house. God bless him, he eats 2 loaves a meal. And if there is no meat, he gets sad and pouts. I swear, if I were on a hill, it would be deranged." At the beginning of the following month, an intense fight broke out between us that lasted for days and ended with me paying what we agreed upon. However, when the following month started, she refused to pay a single penny, not £6 nor 4. She refused because the tenant of her land had not paid what was required of him. Allah doesn't burden a soul beyond what it could bear. So Shuaib Effendi left her, and he knows she's lying about not having money, and sent her divorce papers. Praise be to God! The lowest financial fee imposed in Egypt is the divorce fee. This is a great blessing. May the Minister of Finance never pay attention to it. Days have passed, and we forgot Shuaib Effendi as well as the threats. Miss Zuleika came to us one evening to spend the night at our house as usual. She was laughing uncontrollably, cracking up, and her face smiling, as if she were freed from a heavy burden. The night came to an end, and she left with a roll of newspaper under her arm. She walked in the alley till she reached her door. She took out the key and turned it in the lock. Some neighbors heard her say, "My goodness, what's happened to the lock? Did the kids tamper with it? Damn them!" The door opened and she shut it behind her, and this was the last time she was seen among the living. 3 days later, the smell reeked. We broke the door. Then she was tied to the bedpost with thick ropes, with her mouth stuffed with a handkerchief. Her body was stabbed 50 times with a sharp, treacherous knife, which was lying under her feet still. The room was inside out. The mattresses were ripped with their cotton scattered everywhere, the cupboard lying on the floor, and on the window-sill a liquor bottle that the murderers drank, I don't know, before or after they committed their crime. The prosecutor arrived, and I entered with him. I stopped Jaib Effendi from entering because he was crying his eyes out. I avoided looking at her butchered corpse. The detective kept looking here and there, but then he lifted his head, not intentionally, but by accident, to the ceiling. His gaze fell on a loose wooden beam. He believed that, and I don't know why, the investigation report will not be complete unless he documents his inspection of this wooden beam. A ladder was brought, and he climbed it, to find between the ceiling and the beam a gap with stacks of newspapers the size of a banknote, one of which was filled with the £1 banknote, the second filled with the £5 banknote, and the third with the £10 banknote. I imagined while I was leaving the room that her head turned towards me, and her gaze followed me with a smile full of sarcasm and triumph, and her lips moved and said to me, "Do you now understand what old newspapers are also good for?"